𝗩𝗶𝗱𝗂𝗁𝘁𝗀𝗱, where we teach you all about gardening in the great indoors. If you'd like to support my show and get help growing your houseplants, check out my Patreon below. Should you cut roots when repotting? I often get asked this question when people are repotting their houseplants. The answer is yes, but you need to know how much to cut. Because if you cut too much, the plant can go into transplant shock and not acclimate to its new pot. I do have a video on transplant shock, which I will link below, as well as any other videos I mentioned in this video. Before I give you my rule of thumb for cutting roots before repotting, let's talk about the benefits of doing some root pruning prior to repotting. Cutting some of the roots, like on this plant that I'm getting ready to repot here, this beautiful 𝗤𝗓𝗓 Janet Craig, that can stimulate the plant to create new roots, as well as stimulate the existing roots that you've cut to venture into the new soil that you're going to be putting in. If you simply stick the root ball into the new pot as is without doing anything to the roots, there is a chance that the old roots won't be stimulated to go into the new soil, or it will take them some time to do so, and you want them to start acclimating as soon as possible. They may also continue to circle in the pot, so if you see that circling, definitely want to loosen up some of those roots. Now, let's talk about how much of the existing roots to cut and how. My rule of thumb is to cut no more than 1/3 of the roots when repotting, leaving the other 2/3 roots untouched. If you cut back too many of the roots, as mentioned, the plant can go into transplant shock. I do have a video, as mentioned, on what to do if you think your plant has done that, and to figure out if it has. Okay, so how to cut back roots. You can do this once you get the plant out of the pot, like this one, and you've shaken off excess soil like I have on this one. You want to simply strategically cut some of the roots off by 1 inch or 2, depending on the length of the roots. So the longer the roots, the more you would go 2 inches rather than 1 inch. If it's very short, really short roots, you would want to go 1 inch. And if you're doing much smaller than that, the plant it may not be time for it to be repotted. I do have videos, an entire playlist on repotting, which I will link, so to show you step by step how to repot your house plants. Okay, so as mentioned, you'll want to take like 2/3 of the roots, like I said, so that you know this plant has a good root system here, but it's not like I'm going to hack off all of the roots, right? So I'm going to take out 2/3, and I'm just about a couple 2-3 inches, a little 2-ish inches right there, maybe a little bit more than that. And then here, that root was already damaged, so you do want to cut out any damaged roots. And I'm going to cut one more time here, then I'm going to leave that be. So as you can see, not a ton of root cutting. Like I said, you want to be careful not to overdo it, but I did cut out some roots. I probably, using my rule of thumb there, can do one more cut. I haven't cut on this one because it is a new root that's coming off of this root here, but I think I'm going to cut it halfway back. So there you go. So as mentioned, don't go crazy, cutting like a crazily around everywhere. It's going to depend on how many roots. If this was a lot bigger root ball, I would have cut a lot more roots than you see down here, right? Also, if it's very tight when you pull it out and there's tons of roots and it's tightly packed all the way around, what you want to do then is you want to slice about like one, or on this plant, I would only, if I needed to do it, I would only do it on 2 sides. But if you've got a bigger one, you can do it like 2-3 times around that. That stimulates the really tight mass there. You could also do it couple slices on the bottom. Also wiggle the bottom some with your hands to release it as well. And if you see that circling, you're going to want to cut in 2 or 3 places to stop the circling so that the roots will start to go into the soil when you put it in soil, as mentioned. Now, Also, one thing to keep in mind when you are repotting, once you've cut the roots, make sure to repot the plant right away. So I'm going to be repotting this plant right after I finish here. You don't want to cut the roots you don't want the cut roots exposed to air for too long. That's a good way to have the plant have transplant shock once you do get it planted. And as mentioned, check out my repotting series for more info on repotting your houseplants. I've got quite a few videos on repotting, many videos where I repot houseplants. Thank you for stopping by today. Please leave any comments about any indoor gardening tutorials you'd like to see. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And please check the bell if you'd like to be notified when new videos are released.